Hi, my name is Jim Pikarski, and I teach meditation and give Dharma talks here in Venice, Florida, at the Blue Lotus Meditation Center here in Venice, Florida. Um, Today, I would like to talk about the topic of generosity. Generosity is one of the six perfections of Buddhism, or one of the far-reaching attitudes. It basically means being loving and kind. The other perfections are morality, patience, energy, meditation, and wisdom. But today we'll focus on generosity. It's the most natural expression of an inner attitude of compassion. When we feel compassion towards somebody, we tend to want to be helpful or give in some way. Generosity is not about money, can be, but a poor person can be much more generous than a rich person. Um, One thing about generosity is that while you're practicing generosity, it immediately liberates you from feelings of separateness or isolation. It cracks the ego shell, gets you out of your own ego, and helps you connect with other people. It's an antidote to greed and miserliness. All religions basically talk about generosity and encourage generosity. Um, Opposites of generosity are things like selfishness, consumerism, envy, things like that. So, one thing about generosity is that it also overcomes the fear of not having enough, the fear of lack. Sometimes the fear of lack can be so strong in a person that the only way for them to overcome that is they need to practice generosity. Greed is the opposite of generosity. And greed is probably the cause of most world problems. A lot of political problems, a lot of wars are basically due to greed. Um, and greed really is the fear of not having enough. Lack of generosity really creates contraction in the psyche. We withdraw and kind of we tend to be attracted to people who are like us. If we're fearful and miserly, we may be attracted to those people. If we're generous, we may be attracted to those. The thing is that generosity helps us face our fear of lack. And all fears need to be faced if you want to overcome and really heal yourself psychically. You need to face all your fears. So traditionally in Buddhism, they say that five blessings accrue to someone who is generous. And one blessing is the affection of many people. Of course, people like more generous people. Noble association. People will be attracted to you who are nobler because they can see this generosity in you and recognize it as a noble trait. Good reputation. Self-confidence. It leads to self-confidence because you're overcoming your fear of miserliness, fear of not having enough. But you're also connecting to people, and you're kind of allowing yourself to be vulnerable in a certain way. They say also that it helps with your rebirths. So if you believe in reincarnation, it'll help you be reborn either in a heavenly realm or in a better situation here on Earth. One thing about generosity, it tends to change our conditioning. If we're conditioned to be withhold, then by practicing generosity, what will happen is it will help us open up. Sometimes we have to practice this for quite a long time because the other habits are so ingrained. So there are certain ways of giving that are traditional in Buddhism. One is the giving of material aid. This also includes working or volunteering for the benefit of others. So here we're really giving with wisdom, we're giving without pride, no feelings of pity or better than, we're just helping because it needs to happen. So another second way of giving is the giving of protection from fear. So we're nurturing other people, We're helping people overcome fear. Sometimes people in the police and army really give this kind of protection. We protect people from harm, protect people from unlawful imprisonment, sex slavery, children conscripted into armies in Africa, homelessness. There's all kinds of exploitation in the world. So any actions we take to help overcome this type of exploitation is really giving protection from fear. The third type is giving the Dharma. So really helping people understand the Dharma, helping people lead a better life, develop meditation, giving wise counsel to others, encouraging others to practice. I mean, some people give Dharma books to prisons and libraries. A fourth that is listed is just giving love. So just giving love directly. And this is a love that is selfless. It's not because you're trying to get something back or your ego has some investment in it. You're just giving love because it needs to happen. So the thing is, if you want to get in your life, you have to give. A lot of people who are not getting in their life, they feel like they're isolated, alone, and poor or whatever. A lot of times it's because they're not giving. There was a Lama in France I was reading about, and there was a story about him, and he basically told someone, listen, if you feel like you don't have enough in your life, you need to give more. So giving creates a channel, and that channel can come back to you because now there's an opening. So a lot of times when you give love, you experience it. So one antidote to miserliness is to really reflect on the benefits of generosity and the limitations of miserliness. Generosity can change your beliefs in terms of limitation, lack, being closed off, etc. And it's a great way to do it because it's actual. It's not you're just thinking about it. When you're generous, you're actually experiencing it and seeing what happens. Your heart becomes more open. Others are going to be happier. You're building a positive potential that will bring about wealth in future lives. And generosity can be inspiring to others and be catching. There's all kinds of teachings about generosity and how it can lead to better lives in the future or being more attractive in your future life and stuff like this. Since we don't really know about future lives, we can just say that you can see the generosity working here in this life. So there's more merit given when people are really needy. If you're just giving to somebody who has it all anyway, it's not going to be as important. So if you give food to somebody who's truly hungry, then that's really important. There's more merit if you give to a teacher or a bodhisattva. And there's more merit if we give and imagine them to be a Buddha. Because what we're actually doing is, besides the benefits of the generosity itself, we're also practicing something in our own mind. So when we give in this way, we imagine that the gift is for everyone, that it benefits all beings. Some rituals, before they do it, they basically do a practice of giving the merit to all beings. So generosity can really be inspiring to other people. And I think one thing is that it really parallels a lot of studies they've done about generosity and psychology. And I'm going to talk a little bit about those because I think it's really good to know that these ancient teachings seem to, when they're studied now, they seem to be as true now as they were then. So one study they did was Harvard Business School did a study, and they found that giving money to someone lifted participants' happiness more than spending it on themselves. So when you perform an act of kindness and you give to someone else, you're actually making more happiness for yourself than if you went out and spent it on yourself. I mean, that's not always true, maybe, but I think in general, that is true. So, if you want to be happy, give. In another study at the NIH, found that when people give to charities, it activates regions of their brain associated with pleasure, social connection, and trust, creating a warm glow. It reduces endorphins, kind of a helper's high. Another study showed that elderly people who volunteered for 2 or more organizations were 44% less likely to die over a 5-year period than were non-volunteers, even after controlling for their age, exercise habits, general health, and all that stuff. So it can protect you and give you a reason to live, and it can affect your body chemistry, giving. It's funny because the people who gave were more protected than the people who were given to. There didn't seem to be any effect on the people given to. I mean, they didn't seem to, didn't change their risk of dying. So, interestingly, receiving help wasn't linked to a reduced death risk, but giving help was. Another study done at the University of California, San Diego, found that when one person behaves generously, it inspires observers to behave generously later toward different people. In fact, the researchers found that altruism could spread by 3 degrees, from person to person to person to person. So if you want to contribute to our society being kinder, then be kinder yourself, because other people will pick that up. You will be an example, and it will affect the whole society around us. Giving has also been associated with the release of oxytocin. That's a hormone that creates warmth and feelings of euphoria, connection to others. People get a lot of oxytocin released during sex and breastfeeding. So oxytocin is a natural chemical inside of us that makes us feel good. So if you want to feel good, you want to live long, you want to be happy, and you want to inspire other people to be generous, then be generous yourself. There seems to be lots of research and lots of teachings in all religions telling us that this is true. Thank you.